Hello everybody and welcome to another edition of In Pit Lane here on Channel 31 right across Melbourne and Geelong, and of course the In Pit Lane YouTube channel. Well, as you can see around me, this is not a virtual set, this is not the corporate headquarters of In Pit Lane beyond the suburban curtain. This is in fact, we're home after more than a year. We're finally back at the studios of RMIT here in the heart of Grand Prix City, Melbourne, and it is fantastic to be back. And joining me alongside me right now, in slightly different circumstances, is of course Craig Doc Latigo. Doc, welcome back.
Hey, great to be back, naked, exposed. Hopefully have the original set back next week. We're just going to wing it in the meantime, and great to be back.
We think the desk has perhaps gone off and is now in somebody's man cave as a bar. But yes, whoever's taken it, bring it back, and no questions will be asked. If you're wondering who the attractive young man alongside of Doc is, well, it's Reef McCarthy, who is this week out at Winton Motor Raceway in the Dunlop Super 2 Series behind the wheel of a Super 3 Falcon. And Reef, welcome to In Pit Lane.
No, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
We'll catch up with Reef a little bit later on in the program, but right now, been a very busy weekend in the world of international motorsport. Of course, the month of May, so many big things happening. Let's find out all about it in the In Pit Lane Motorsport News. New Zealand driver Scott Dixon will start from pole for this year's Indianapolis 500 to be run Monday morning Melbourne time. The Kiwi driver set the fastest speed on pole day with a 4-lap average of 372.86 kilometres per hour to edge out second place Colton Herter.
Yeah, huge thank you to all the fans. This is what this sport's about, and this is what Indianapolis is about, is, laying this thing on the line. Just so proud of everybody on the PNC Bank team, everybody in Chip Ganassi, 4 cars in the Fast 9. Credit to ECR, they threw in a hell of a fight there at the end, and that was sketchy. I could see they were making some adjustments to the car before I rolled out. Nobody told me anything. I told, Cannon I didn't want to hear about it. It was pretty loose. The last lap, I was hoping that I was going to make it through turn 3. I kind of turned in a little too early, but how's that, boss?
Pretty damn good.
Thank you, mate. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, man.
Thank you. Great job.
So, yeah, I was holding on, and obviously you could see towards the end of that lap there, it got pretty sketchy, and we scrubbed a ton of speed, but 3 1,000s or 3 100s or something?
Of a mile an hour, yeah. 3 100ths of a mile an hour, Scott.
It doesn't matter what it is, we'll take that. So thank you so much, everyone.
It was a worrying time for Australian driver Will Power, who left it till the very last minute to qualify after failing to be in the 30 fastest times for the weekend's race. Power survived a hard brush with the wall to make the field for the 32nd and second last spot in the field. He'll start alongside former supercar driver Simona Di Silvestro, who returns to IndyCar after a 6-year absence.
As I'm going out towards the wall, I know I can't lift. I'm sure there's a few little shaky throttle, nervous lifts as I hit the wall, but man, that's this place throws everything at you. It can just surprise you because the car was very comfortable yesterday, and today it was just on the nose and loose. So we get in the race. It's an amazing feeling and an amazing place. So now we can focus forward.
Scott McLaughlin will start from 17th position on the grid, 3 places behind Pietro Fittipaldi, his main rival for Rookie of the Year honours. The self-proclaimed greatest spectacle in all of auto racing, the 2021 Indianapolis 500, will be run this Monday morning at 2:45 a.m. Melbourne time. Max Verstappen has taken an all-the-way victory in that other great race in May, the annual Monaco Grand Prix. Starting from pole after original pole sitter Charles Leclerc had to sit out the race due to a broken gearbox, Verstappen comfortably led the entire race distance. Mercedes driver Valtteri Bottas was the only driver who looked any real threat to Verstappen's domination, but his race ended early after a disastrous pit stop saw him retire after damage to a wheel hub. This left Ferrari's Carlos Sainz to take a popular second place and provide the Maranello team with some sort of consolation after the disappointment of Leclerc. Third place saw another great drive by McLaren's Lando Norris, who once again was comfortably ahead of his Australian teammate Daniel Ricciardo. It was a disappointing weekend for Danny Rick, who was ousted in the first round of qualifying and basically ran midfield for the entire race. His worst moment came when he was lapped by his teammate, who gave him a cheeky wave goodbye. Seven-time world champion Lewis Hamilton also had a weekend to forget. He started from 7th position on the grid and failed to make any progress through the field to finish in that position. He did get one extra consolation point for setting the fastest lap of the race. Both Ricciardo and Hamilton will be looking for a major change of luck when the championship resumes at Baku on June the 6th for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. There was better news for Australia in the Formula 2 race at Monaco, with Melbourne driver Oscar Piastri taking 2 second places to put him in strong contention for this year's title. Piastri jumped from third to the lead early in the sprint race, but eventually finished third on track. After the race, Piastri was elevated into second place when race winner New Zealand's Liam Lawson was disqualified for a technical infringement. In the main feature race, Piastri took advantage of a disastrous pit stop for teammate Robert Schwartzman to move into second. He then had to fend off the challenge of race 1 winner, the hard-charging Dan Ticktum, to hold on to second place. French teenager Théo Bourchier won the race. Piastri has moved into second place behind China's Guan Zhou in the Formula 2 Series points after 2 of the 8 rounds. The next round also being held at the Azerbaijan Grand Prix at Baku in 2 weeks' time. NASCAR in the rain. Yes, it happened last weekend at the Circuit of the Americas in Texas, as the NASCAR Sprint Cup made its debut on the Formula 1 circuit, and NASCAR fans were treated to the unlikely sight of NASCAR stockers running in the wet, including full rain tyres and, yes, windscreen wipers. Chase Elliott won the race, his 6th career road course win and his first win of this season, after the race was stopped 14 laps short of the finish. The biggest crash of the race happened after Martin Truex Jr. ran into the back of Michael McDowell's car and was then in turn hit at full speed by Cole Custer. Both cars were destroyed, with Custer's momentarily catching fire. Neither driver was hurt, but both were highly critical of the decision to race in the rain. Following the event, several drivers have now called on NASCAR to rule out more wet track racing. 3-time defending Top Fuel champion Steve Torrens finally conquered Houston Raceway Park, racing to victory on Monday at the 34th annual NHRA Spring Nationals. Torrens ran a 4-second pass at 418 km per hour to beat Doug Kalitta in the final for his 3rd win of the season to extend his championship lead. Robert Hight beat Ron Capps in a matchup of funny car heavyweights, with Hight running a 391 at 526 km per hour for his first win of the year. And in the Pro Stock final, Matt Hartford enjoyed some good fortune, picking up his first win of the year after his opponent, Derek Kramer, shook the tyres. An historic 100th World Superbike win to English rider Johnny Ray in round 1 of the series last weekend. Ray became the first rider in Superbike World Championship history to claim a century of wins. Ray led a Kawasaki racing team 1-2 with Alex Lowe's coming home in second place, 4 seconds shy of Ray after challenging him in the early stages of the race. Race 2 saw Ray's winning streak ended as Scott Redding's gamble on slick tyres on a drying track paid off. Redding won the race by 10 seconds from Ray, with Lowe's again following his teammate home into 3rd spot. And that's the In-Pit Lane news for the week commencing Monday, the 24th of May 2021. We'll have more news next week. We're going to take a break now on In-Pit Lane on Channel 31, but when we come back, we'll be joined by our special guest, Reef McCarthy. That's when In-Pit Lane returns, right after this break. Don't go away, we'll be right back. Welcome back to In-Pit Lane. Well, our guest this week is a young man who's made a huge jump, coming out of karts, jumped into Formula Vee, which is quite a sensible and understandable thing to do. He's now jumped out of Formula Vee. Well, actually, he's still in Formula Vee, but on this weekend at Winton, he'll be behind the wheel once again of a supercar in the Dunlop Super 2 Series. He's running in the Super 3 category, and to find out about what he's doing this weekend and his plans for the future, please welcome to In-Pit Lane, Reef McCarthy. Reef, welcome to In-Pit Lane.
Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Now let's find out the jump. I mean, you've raced in karts and then you've raced successfully in Formula Vee at the Victorian state level. At what point did you say, I'm just going to jump into a 640 horsepower supercar? And how did that happen?
Look, it's, as people say, it's all about the opportunities you get given. You know, at the start, before we went to Super 3, we always thought maybe we'd have to go to Formula Ford or maybe Toyota 86 or something around that line to, do the next step before trying to make it to a Super 3. But yeah, I got an awesome opportunity by Image Racing to hop straight into a Super 3 and take it for some laps at Winton, and it went great. And yeah, they offered me to do the series this year, and yeah, so now.
So how old are you?
I'm still 17, so yes.
Same old scenario. Hasn't got a driver's license on the road. Has to have someone sit next to him, but can still go down the track at more than 200 kilometres an hour.
Yeah, that's it. It's quite crazy that I still have to have mum.
So you must have been, like surprisingly comfortable behind the wheel. I mean, jumping out of how much horsepower is a Formula Vee got? What about 40, 50 horsepower?
Yeah,
tops?
I think they've got like 50, 60 tops. So
yeah, and then you jumped into there. So I mean, you've obviously noticed the difference. I mean,
yeah.
How did you feel? I mean, how comfortable were you? Were you surprised at how well you did?
I was surprised. Obviously, I had to adapt, and it was a very different driving style. So obviously, the Formula Vee, a lot less horsepower, and it's about trying to, maintain a lot of mid-corner speed. But with the supercar, obviously with so much horsepower, it's just about trying to get it to the apex and then drive it out of the corners. So it was a very big jump and a very big difference, obviously just in weight, power. But it was something I felt like I adapted to pretty quickly. So
where was that first big jump? When did you first jump into it? What track? Where'd you do the test?
It was at Winton. So luckily that's a track I know very well. I've done a lot of racing there in the Formula Vee. So yeah, Terry from Image Racing gave me the chance to jump in it just for a couple of sessions. And yeah, it was a big change, but it was something I just loved and always was hoping to hop into a Super 3 eventually.
The thing about, Super 2 and Super 3 is, those cars, I mean, they just haven't, come out of nowhere. They've got provenance. I mean, they've got a history. I mean, what's the history of the car you're driving right now?
Yeah, I don't know all the history behind it, but pretty sure it's Shane Van Gisbergen's old car from one time.
888 days?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, again, it's really been so quickly, all these, like it wasn't long before Bathurst that I actually knew I'd be racing at Bathurst. It's all happened very quickly this year.
So Winton straight to Bathurst?
Yeah, that's it. And it was my...
out of the fire, right into the cold?
Yeah, and it was my first time up at Bathurst in any race car, so it was really jumping in the deep end. But, we're just going with the flow, with the opportunities we've been given. And, so far it's working really well, and heading to Winton, now I've got a little bit more knowledge of the car and I know the track, so yeah, I'm really looking forward to hopefully keep progressing in this category.
The thing is, I mean, with any driving supercars, I mean, it's often in terms of, how much money you can bring in, what your sponsors are and all the rest of it. And how have you found that? I mean, do you have a sponsor who's supporting you and backing you in your career?
Yeah, well, we're very lucky that Fabcon have jumped on board for the Winton round, and then I've had Suma Wines that have been with me since go-karting days, so they got me through all the karting, and they also sponsored me in the Formula Vee. And then we'll also
help you celebrate at the end of it too, especially when you turn 18.
Yeah,
yes. Of course, you wouldn't know what those products are like, of course. But
then also we had Shannon's auctions that have helped us out. So there's a couple of people that have really been supportive, and really I wouldn't be able to do like this whole year without them. So yeah, it's a big.
So you're locked in for the entire season?
Not yet. There's one round Gold Coast that's not yet fully locked in, but all the rest I should be able to do this year. So I mean, I wasn't even meant to be able to do more than 3 rounds this year, but as each day we're just trying to get more sponsorship, and hopefully I can do the whole year this year, but it's just about whoever can jump on board and help us out, because that's what it's about.
As Brett said though, you're not still out of the Formula Vee yet. You're double duties this year as well too, so Formula Vee and the FG in the Super 3s. How do you find jumping from car to car at the moment? It must be a bit of a transition and getting your head around it just briefly again?
Yeah, the transition is I wouldn't say difficult, but I definitely have to adapt just to the different driving styles between the two cars. But it's very good because in the Formula Vee I get to go to a lot of the tracks that I'll be racing the Super 3 in. So, it's good to just get my head around the track and learn the track. So when I do end up going there with the Super 3, I actually, at least know the tracks. I'm just trying to adapt the car to the track. So
I checked out your stats. You're still actually flying in the old Formula Vee in the Sabre. I think you did a fastest lap at one of your of your events this year already. So you've only ever done one before, and you've done it again this year. So you're still flicking that little open wheel around pretty quickly.
Yeah, that's it.
I mean, is it a real culture shock when you jump back behind the wheel of the Formula Vee, especially to somewhere like Phillip Island, and you suddenly get on that main straight and go, come on.
Yeah, no, that is it. We were up at Phillip Island for round 3 of the States not long ago, and I just had my foot flat to the ground. And I was like, surely this isn't it. So, but at the same time, I still love, any time I'm behind the wheel of any race car.
The one thing that Formula Vee does teach you, I mean, it certainly teaches you racecraft, and in terms of, you've got that close and how to be close together, because obviously in karts and all this, you're obviously close, but there's a bit more banging going on, it's a bit more cut. Whereas, as you say, in Formula Vee, you're learning how to sort of pace yourself, and you're learning the different lines, how smooth, as you say, smoothness is important, isn't it, when you've got that little power to deal with?
Yeah, definitely, that's it. Like obviously in the open wheeler, you've got, no panels to hit. It's wheel-on-wheel action, what can always lead to big accidents if you don't respect the drivers you're racing with. So, that's taught me a lot about, racecraft and being able to, use your head rather than just the car to try, get overtakes done, especially with the slipstream factor that Formula Vee have. You can be leading the straight at Phillip Island, and by the time you get to the line, you could be in 5th place just by the slipstream effect. So, it's definitely one where you've got to use a lot of strategy, because it's not just about being the fastest car out there. You've just got to place yourself in the right spots so you can get to the line first, really. So.
Okay, we're going to take another break now on Channel 31, but stay with us and we'll wrap up after the break. So we'll have more from our guest right after this break, and also music from our guest tonight, Lorenzo Iannotti. You're watching In Pit Lane. Don't go away. We'll be right back. The show may be over, but the motorsport chat continues with Full Course Yellow, the In Pit Lane after party. We're on the In Pit Lane YouTube channel, live most Thursday nights at 9:30, straight after In Pit Lane here on Channel 31. So, why not join us? Yes, I hope you will join us after the program every Thursday night, or after we finish on Channel 31 for Full Course Yellow, and join the chat. We really look forward to seeing you. Reef, we've got to wrap up quickly now, but Winton this weekend, what are you expecting? What are you looking forward to?
Well, coming out of Bathurst, we weren't expecting anything at Bathurst, but going to a track I know well, I'd really love to get on the podium. That's kind of, what I'm going to be trying to push for this weekend. I think I can do it. I think the pace is there. I've got good race pace, I think. Obviously going off the test day on Wednesday, but I think I've got to work on the qualifying pace, but, still a lot to learn. So I'm just going to keep learning each time I hop in the car and trying to develop, and we'll see what I can do on the weekend.
You're a humble man, but at Bathurst you did put it on the front row on Bathurst on the Sunday when you're up there. You ended up 4th at the end of the race. Did you exceed your own expectations?
Yeah, I did. I didn't go into Bathurst expecting anything, especially being a track I haven't been to and so many walls around. I just wanted to get through there with a straight car, and that's kind of what the team was wanting, and that's what I was hoping for. So I will be hoping for a little bit more at Winton, especially just learning from a couple of mistakes that I did do at Bathurst. But yeah, as soon as I do put that helmet on, it's always win-win-win. So that's what I'll be going for.
So just quickly, what are the long-term plans? Is it a career in supercars that you're after?
Yeah, I'd love to stay in Australia, trying to make it to supercars. I'd like to make my mark here, and hopefully make it to the main game. That's the big term goal, but. Obviously a lot to do to get to there, but I'd love to make
Well, you're only 17, you've got plenty of time. Good luck on the weekend at Winton Motor Raceway. We'll all be watching. If you're heading up to Winton, call in, you get into the pits at all time, call in and say hi to Reef and tell him you saw him on In Pit Lane and cheer him on. But Reef, we're right out of time right now. Good luck as on the weekend and for the future, but for now, thanks for joining us in Pit Lane.
No, awesome. Thanks so much for having me, you two. It's been a pleasure.
All the best too.
And thank you to you at home for joining us. Now we're going to take you out tonight, as we said, with some music, as we usually do on the program. And joining us tonight is Lorenzo Iannotti. And Lorenzo came onto the program several years ago here on In Pit Lane, here in this very studio. And he's had a lot of success internationally as well with his music as well. So we were really thrilled that he could come into the Mr Boogie Man Bar a couple of weeks ago and perform for us. We got quite a big crowd in that night as well. And he's going to take us out tonight with his song Lay With Me. So until we see you again, hopefully from the studio next week on In Pit Lane, from all of us here, it's good night. And this is Lorenzo Iannotti and Lay With Me. Bye for now.
Well, from your first hello, I heard it in your voice. That's when I made my choice, who to run to. And there's no talk of blame or the mistakes we made. And as I lie away, just get harder. And when I felt you run, I tried not to follow. You found your way back home. And I won't let you fall, I'm one step behind you. You left to find the world that you were looking for. And all this time was right here in my arms. If you lay with me a while, as the days go by, you can run and hide from this crazy life. If you lay with me a while, as the days go by, you can close your eyes, let the pain subside. If you lay with me a while. Try and hide your fear, 'cause you were safe right here in my arms again. There's no need to hide deep in the shadow. We will find the light somehow. And I won't let you fall, I won't step behind you. You left to find the world you were looking for, and all this time was right here in my arms. If you lay with me a while, as the days go by, you can run and hide from this crazy life. If you lay with me a while, as the days go by, you can close your eyes, let the pain subside. If you lay with me a while. If you lay with me a while, now we're here, and all these feelings reappear. No games to play, we can work it out. Just say you'll stay, 'cause our time is here and now. From your first hello, I heard it in your voice. You lay with me a while, as the days go by, you can close your eyes, let the pain subside. You lay with me a while, as the days go by, you can run and hide from this crazy life. If you lay with me a while, ooh, yeah. Ooh, if you lay with me a while, and the days go by. If you lay with me a while, yeah, yeah. Thank you very much.